So this side of power is what familial organizations concerns itself with, the systems of the world. And money is just the current main way to access this power. Money from a purely alpha predator male economic standpoint uh, is less valuable than it was 40 years ago because of inflation. We're like, oh, so little money could buy you so much back then, you know. But what this doesn't completely take into account is that the value uh, of the systems that they control is controlling. You know, like 100 years ago, for example, no vaccines, no no really ubiquitous automobiles. There's a lot of no's. There's a lot of no systems, but there's the control's still there. It's like fluctuating, but there's none of this. But we eventually continuously spin control on the systems and get more powerful systems. We get spend the control on people, and it gives you technology and knowledge, more systems to control. So that's what this kind of inflation, the value of money. When you say that, what do we even really mean? And it's not just this kind of imaginary inflationary value of money. It's much more of the actual systems being controlled. And what's funny is like the most abundant of these things that we really need. If we would die pretty soon without water, without food, but without air, we'd be go we wouldn't be able to live very long. Yet it's everywhere. We don't trade it. It's in such because it's in such abundance, clean air. But and that's so valuable, but yet it's free. And so like what is valuable? Makes you start to question what that. It all comes into very big questions of is this stock valuable? Is this money valuable? Or is this actually degrading and destroying the systems? And what is valuable? The very existence of stocks and the money, this kind of money, is depressive control, is destroying the systems. But they don't know though. Though, but no one knows. They're naturally selected to know. So we could have king could have all the control in the world in the past, but if he didn't have the systems to access lives we have to today, he would not be able to have the power to overcome a mosquito bite that gives him malaria. And so what's made money much more valuable isn't the imaginary, this inflation stuff. It's been sacrifice. It's been honor. It's been using control on the systems. That's what's made everything money more valuable. All the control more valuable. We've been using the control to on people to help them reach their potential and contribute to the systems and make them more powerful and healthy, so that all of our power is more healthy. Instead of this kind of just destroying things to control them, destroying the systems to control them, and sacrifice control to empower them. So let's explore now the kind of already did that, didn't I? Yeah. We have the old oppressive control memories of the alpha predators, male agency, and the honorable control memories. We'll do it again. We'll do it again because it's necessary. So available control of the system can be ascertained through the creation of either oppressive control memories or more honorable control memories. Let's first re-examine oppressive control memories. In alpha predator male organizations, oppressive control memories and alpha predatory emotions are the primary interests. Those pursuing those points, those alpha predator male points, are the primary interests that guide alpha predator male economies. Patriarchal points guide patriarchal economies. It's an economy of not physical resources, but an economy of oppressive control memories and pleasurable neurotransmitter releases. It's all in their heads, their economy. Physical resources outside of their mind are actually sacrificed for this control, this memory control that's created from this network of memories. So, the available control of the systems yes, so life has evolved to view this side as power, that side, uh, and not these system sides. These are actually sacrificed for this, and that's the crux. That's why patriarchy doesn't create power that needs to survive. It just destroys the systems for control until it dies. Because that's control helps spread the best thing that spreads the genes better than the competitors. So such acquisition of this false power that patriarchy does throughout the centuries, the false prophets, the money, the territory, the the positions and dominance hierarchies, the sad, abusive sexual interactions, and the abusive interactions with is more of sadism that they can't help, and all this kind of predatory stuff they can't help. And that helps spread the genes of men, an alpha state. They're selected to perceive this control as power because that is what helps spread their genes better than their competitors. And because of that, he destroys the systems to get that control until there's no systems left and he is powerless kind of against this whole thing of what he is naturally selected to perceive as power. And actually, in this pursuit of this false power, he destroys the systems and destroys his power and thus destroy his survival. But he can't help that. It's just what's selected of him. Honorable control memories is what familial organizations concerns itself with. Although the second half of the equation of power is what it considers mostly. The control is just a means to this, serving it. And we can control people to behave honorably by honoring their rights. It grants honorable control of them when we honor their rights. When we empower people, they're able to control themselves in a healthy way. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Control over the system is ascertained not with oppression, but with a loving, forgiving, accepting, caring, stable environment. Familial organizations doesn't see this oppressive control over people as valuable. So the familial organization doesn't perceive oppressive control over people as valuable. That's what patriarchy believes, and familial organizations believes that as a sickness that actually prevents the FO from developing. So so the actual action of that person, the FO doesn't see control over the people, that oppressive control over people as valuable. I'm sorry, but rather the actual action that the person does is what is valuable. So who care? It's not about like dominating everyone. And you do this and you do that and you do this. It's more like enabling people to do it themselves. So I don't want to stand. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But on a job or something, it's a little bit different. But I'm talking in like a whole state, a society. Uh, where it's just one or a group just sending commands down the hierarchy to make people behave in moves that their instincts tell them to, these kind of patriarchal instincts, rather than uh, empowering them and enabling them to move themselves. Because what's really valuable isn't your ability to control people, but rather their output that you're trying to control them to reach. So it's not so much about controlling people, but making sure that they're moving in ways that you want them to, that civilization it needs them to. And that's what this familial organization, how its control is set up, where we honor people and empower them to control themselves, making everything therefore more efficient. And so familial familial organizations empower people to grow and make them autonomous, so that they behave in healthy ways by their own choice. They just choose to do the right thing because they've been had their needs met. They do this not because of oppression, but because of honor. It's sort of like a mother's control over the child, as I've said later in life. The child does what the parent wants, not because they fear the mother, but because they love their mother and want to make their moms proud, and other things. Familial organization views this oppressive control that is traditionally used to control people as exceedingly destructive, and the main illness man has inherited. How patriarchy controls people. It causes structural violence, environmental degradation, and a reduced rate of power system creation. We're not spending the control in the systems to create more and more powerful systems, so it should increase our own power. Fiscal conservative is what they call it. So, if they don't get out of that, this kind of fiscal conservatism, really this kind of misperception of power, and their consolidation of this kind of illness, and preventing them from actually spending it to increase their power to make their species survive. Then if they don't do that, they can't ascend the next levels of civilization and survive all those crazy cosmic apocalypses that can happen, and planetary disasters. They don't empower and grow the world with honor to ascertain to ascend its form, this kind of agency, this patriarchy agency. They degrade it to grow these kind of they degrade this to grow these kind of mental illnesses, these mental oppressive control memory networks. So them seeking to oppressively control the system destroys it, divides it, and doesn't evolve the systems of power quick enough to avert inbound apocalyptic selective pressures that we will inevitably face. Family economics. The primary routine of family economics is the health empowerment of the power systems. The subroutines, so we're trying to make these more powerful. That's the main routine of the familial organization, doing this to the world instead of this. The subroutines, which the family economy concerns us, yes. So the main way it does this, the main subroutine which the family economy concerns itself with, to achieve this uh, health increase, is by honoring the rights of the system. We have to honor the rights of the system to grow it and increase its health and ascend the Kardashev scale and ascend our power. These subroutines are accomplished, honor, by spending control on them. So this the subroutines of the familial economy is about spending control on the systems to empower them as a mother to child. Familial organization solves for scarce access of resources through yes. So this familial organization solves for scarce access to resources through technology and its intelligent application and educating people to empower them to create more of that technology and make things automated and in abundance. This is in contrast to alpha predator male organizations, which tries to solve for scarce access to systems by disempowering the health of the system to create oppressive control memories. So, and it's really not solving for scarce resources. It's making artificial scarcity. There's an abundance happened, agrarian revolution, and then all of a sudden, uh, all this false scarcity starts happening, and men are hoarding resources so that they can have 12 wives and 30 children, and while another man has none. This makes sense from this trying to maximize the number of your genetic replications, in contrast to the FO. That's patriarchy, where it's just the resources get distributed in such a way to maximize the genetic replications of men in macro alpha state, rather than to create civilization and ascend the Kardashev scale as a familial organization seeks to ascertain. All the skilled labor, crafting, science, engineering, art, medicine, and activist activities are coming from people who have been empowered by having their rights honored by more familial democratic societies that more cared and provided for the needs of their citizens. The laws being used as a tool to provide the beneficial rights that empowered the citizens, rather than a tool to oppressively control them for alpha predator male utility, diminishing their health, and putting the citizens in a subjugated beta position. Now, since the power systems are emerged from honoring rights, uh, these power systems, the technology, the knowledge, it's all merging from this spinning of control on the systems, honoring their rights. Uh, yes, and oh, I've already talked about that positive feedback loop. Well, well, we'll do it again actually, because I'm gonna redo that one. I'm gonna redo that video. So we'll cover it here. In empowerment feedback. The more honor we elicit on the world to empower it, the more power systems are created. So when we when we empower people, they can create more power systems. When we empower people, they can create more systems, uh, and then we can use those systems that they create to then empower them further, therefore allowing them to create more. We empower people, they create refrigerators. That then helps empower more people to create AC, which then allows, so you get this kind of positive feedback loop between when you spend control on people and they produce something, and then you give them this thing, it helps them produce more. You spend control on people on teaching and writing, and then uh, spend control on people teaching them and teaching them how to write, and then these people create a book that then helps teach other people, and it's just this. There's all these good things that happen when we spend control on people, and there's this power that's created, a very real power. What real power is comes from not that kindness and raising things and spending control on the systems and raising their state, I suppose, into a healthier level.